Hey you guys, it's Peter, and welcome to my channel, My So-Called Healthy Life. Okay, so how are you guys doing today? Weight loss journey-wise, I'm exactly the same as I was yesterday. It's like, I'm gonna have to make some drastic changes or do a cleanse or something, I don't know, to like get through this plateau. Because I've been doing really well for like the last couple days, the last week, and I just am like, it's not making any dent. But are you getting excited for the November class, master class? I will not call it a master class because then that would imply that I'm a master and I'm not. But we're gonna do a month-long class on how to accomplish the dreams of your life, how to be dream successful, so to speak. And what that means is like, when you think back about your childhood or your teens or your 20s or whatever age you are now looking back, on like what were your dream careers, like, and maybe not even career, but like what were things that you wanted to accomplish in your life? Like maybe learning how to play piano or, learning how to be a great baker and make, amazing cupcakes for Halloween. And I love looking at all those pictures, even though I suck at baking, right? And that is not one of my dreams. But like growing up, one of my dreams was always to be an author and to be able to say that I had written a book, right? And, I have so many dreams. I mean, my bucket list is miles long. And maybe for you, it is traveling somewhere or whatever. And so for the month of November, we are going to realistically take a look at our dreams, where our dreams come from, what stops us from achieving our dreams, and how to fully achieve our dreams so that you realize that life is not a dress rehearsal like I talked about yesterday, and that you're living your life fully. Now, there's a couple interesting things and ways to look at this. Like, if you ever have heard of the author, Ann Tyler, who talked about the armchair traveler, there's many of us that want to go to places, like, I don't know, like Prague or, South America, that maybe we will never have the chance to go there. But that doesn't mean that we can't visit there in other ways, that we can't, watch documentaries on that or read a lot of books about it and become very educated on it, buy souvenirs from there, things like that. And maybe that's the closest we'll ever get, but maybe that's closer than we are now. And that's really about what all of this is going to be about, is getting closer to our dreams or fully accomplishing them if we possibly can. So, like I said a couple videos ago, I want you to start thinking about what your dreams are, and I want you to come up with a couple very, very realistic dreams. And maybe like for me, my realistic dreams are like paying off debt, getting into the best life best body that I possibly can, those kinds of things, having the best marriage that you possibly can. But maybe and for some people those may seem like unrealistic dreams, but they're not. They're attainable, they're measurable, and I think that those are things that we can accomplish. Bigger dreams might be like, I want to be a movie star that wins an Oscar, where that might be very realistic to other people. A lot of us sitting around in our living rooms watching the Oscars in February will think, well, that will never happen to us, right? Or will it? And what do we need to do to start getting that in motion? Because I'm very much a believer that you have to start putting things in front of each other to get some movement going to get to that point. And one of the things I have really realized in life is that, like, let's say if my dream is, I don't know, to, own a recording studio at some point, which that's not my dream, but let's just say if it was, right? And so like I was taking some classes because that was realistically a way for me to get there. And then I took a class, and then like I met somebody else, and somebody said, oh, you like to write, I like to play guitar and sing, we should start a duet together, like singing group, and then that turns into a band, and then, after a while, let's say a year down the road, we're like performing at little, I don't know, Earth Day festivals or something like that, and then 5 years down the road, we put a CD out. So it isn't necessarily accomplishing the dream of doing the studio, or the music studio, but it is getting closer to my dream that I had. And so I kind of like re-realized my dream. Does that make sense? So I think that it's going to be a really cool thing. I am going to be learning as we go. I have the whole thing kind of planned out, but I have learned in life that nothing goes as organically planned. So I think some mysteries and some surprises will happen along the way. I'm really, really excited about it. I think it would be fun for you guys if you have 2 or 3 friends to do it together, or like sisters, brothers, people at work to do it as a group at work. So this is my little PR stunt. Go get everybody together, get a little group together and say, hey, we're gonna do this together. We're gonna watch Peter's videos for 30 days. I'm gonna also talk a lot about gratitude in there because, you know, I do believe that gratitude is kind of like the gasoline for humanity. And I think that humanity, or for, you know, the gratitude is what feeds and energizes us onward and onward and onward. So if we look at our lives and we don't look at the glass as half empty, but we look at it as half full, then we constantly want to keep on filling it, right? Because, and looking at it and being like, I'm so grateful that I have a house. I'm so grateful for my dogs and my health today and my relationship and my marriage and food on the table and that I get to go do fun stuff, right? And if we look at life that way, we look at what we have, not what we don't have. And then what we look at is what more do we want and what do we want to give to others? And for me, that is personally my goal in life is how can I have the most successful, happiest life possible while still giving to others and remaining teachable, remaining humble, and remaining of service. And for me, that's the ultimate goal of life. So work on your dreams, come up with some dreams. I was going to read a meditation, but this is getting a little long at this point. So work on your dreams, figure out what things you want to do. Oh, I'm going to read the meditation anyway. You ready? Okay. October 23rd, a light from within. People are like stained glass windows. They sparkle and shine when the sun is out. But when the darkness sets in, their true beauty is revealed only if there is a light from within. Elizabeth Kubler-Ross. And if you don't know who Elizabeth Kubler-Ross is, she is the one that wrote the book, I think, on death and dying. And she's really the one that came up with the stages of grief. So if you're interested in that, go read Kubler-Ross. She's written many, I think she's passed away now. But she was the one that came up with the whole concept of hospice. And she basically was the cornerstone of grief and loss in our society. And so, you know, sociologically what we understand today. We know many people who are a delight to be around when things are going well. They're gracious and kind, funny and warm. Isn't this funny? I was just talking about this. We're happy to have them as friends. We know fewer people who are equally delightful to be around when things aren't going so well. Though these special few manage to be gracious and kind, funny and warm, even when times are dark for them, and when we are suffering and needy and maybe not be such a delight ourselves. I can be a good person in good times. I will strive to be a good person in difficult times as well. I think that is such an amazing lesson to strive towards. And that's where I talk about like attainable goals, right? That have you ever met that person that even when their husband passes away, or I remember, okay, so I had a friend of mine that was very, very sick and was in the hospital, and his mom called me and said, if you're gonna come and say goodbye, now is the time. And, you know, I was like, I don't wanna go and do that. I don't wanna say goodbye. I can't imagine saying goodbye to my friend. And I called my best friend Tanya up and I said, I can't do this. And she said, yes, you can. She said, he was a good friend. He would do it for you. And so I went to the hospital, and I remember when I walked in, like he was in ICU. And I remember when I walked in, there was like a room to the right, like where all the family was sitting in there. And his mom saw me and she came out, and I just like lost my shit. And she gave me this huge hug, right? And I said, I'm the one that should be consoling you. And she said, oh no, Peter. She said, in life, we all console each other, you know? She's like, he loved you. You were such a good friend to him. And, you know, what I realized in that moment was that my emotions, my feelings were very, very selfish. But that was okay. That was where I needed to be. But to be that person that can be so selfless and unselfish at that moment to give to somebody else when they are going through the greatest pain ever of losing a child, I can't even imagine. And I strive to be like people like that. Those people to me are angels on earth. And I strive to be more humane, more selfless, more caring of others like that moment. And I'll never forget that, right? You know? And she knew what I needed in that moment. And it wasn't about what she needed. It was about what I needed. And those little selfless acts, I think people are either innately like that from being children, or they become like that over time, but that's who I yearn to be. And, you know, I think that gratitude for what you have or what you've been given is really, really important, you know? When my mom passed away, I was 36 and she was 64. About 6 months later, I met a very close friend of mine whose mom was dying of cancer, and she did die like 2 weeks after I met him. And he at the time was 21, and she was my age. She was like 36. And I remember I was immediately hit with this overwhelming gratitude that I was given, 15 years more life with my mother. 15 years, she was sober 13, so I would never have had that sober time with her. But I was given, 15 more years than this person had. And, I think a lot of times we have to look at our lives in response to other people's so that we can see positively about our own. And I think that that's really important. So that's all I have for today. I hope you guys are having an amazing day. Indiana finally turned fall, and it's like gold and orange and red outside. It's gorgeous, and it's like windy. It's very Halloween-y. So anyway, I love you guys, and I will talk to you later. Bye.